close. Western down the coast. And actually lots of space there. I mean, Gedrock's the only real obstacle in his way, but he's positioned down in Northern Lights' previous position. Maybe even just camping a boat there. I'm not sure if he's looking for a scummy kill. Say anything to favour the Northern Island would be north and west, and actually pulls down just slightly south of the equator and to the east.
And I mean, I know there was a pretty big portion of the circle on the mainland up towards the north, but even with that, only 4 teams at this point down towards the south side, one of them being the 2-player face clans. So not a lot of teams opting to commit south side early on now. Overpeak instantly sending it on over, but Wu are there ready and waiting.
Fairly loose bridge hold, though. See what damage can actually be done here. But actually, didn't stop yet. Teams is actually taking it down to the lower level.
Maybe back on the bike, not liking that rock for cover, needs some more to work with. This is, I don't think this is what the devs were thinking when they added that little walking, like catwalk on the side of this bridge. Usually for cars, sure, this is going to take a while. Nobody gets it down perfectly.
You managed to get all the way down here and maintain the vehicle, so mitigating any risk on the upper side of the bridge, at least. Exalt trying to put a little poke on the way out. But Overpeak is actually pulling up on the compound. Woo, they're going to have to collapse on this as well.
Already got all 4 players down here, so if there's a place to defend, this would be it. Nixie going to be the first point of contact. Here's the vehicles, has both nades and mollies available. Jumps up, spots Svart, second time around, tags him once again. In the meantime, Win or Die trying to cross the water, but Polish Power, something to say about it, denying them the access across. Of course,
HP.
Yeah, it's not looking optimal. Fortunately, I suppose they could still swim ashore even when they're knocked. That's the not that recent change, but somewhat recent change. And now the fight against Overpeakers and Wu finally pops off.
Actually, Vard repositioning over to this side of the compound in the vehicle, punished for it almost immediately. Ibby with the response as well onto Clip, so a ton of damage coming on. That's a fantastic nade from James, though. Ibby will fall. That could be the green light to actually push on to Nixie here.
Exalt hearing all this go down as well, might want a piece of this pie. We'll see how they opt to react. We are seeing shots come in from the distance. Maybe not wanting to full commit to this one just yet. Mexi lops the nade on forward, expecting that to be players on the backside of the building. Not quite the case. Best of luck. Quizzy still out towards the east side here. James gets healed back on up.
He'll die, actually. Picture in picture. You actually managed to get a res off, but it'll be difficult to get out of this position now as James and Mexi looking to pressure this res. Actually back on the feet, though, so they're too strong in this house for the time being. See, Nixie slipping out the backside. If he can reposition around onto the right side of the house, this could be deadly. Mexi just looking to clear through with the shotgun.
When you're hearing the footsteps coming sprinting through, you're kind of expecting there to be shotguns in the hands of that player. And it adds a little bit of confidence to a building push like that. So Wise and backing out of that one. 2 players now from the Wu in and around that building. James, Mexi holding on together. Fellas backfilling on this out from the other side towards the bridge. Not sure, and as I'm looking at the map here, not quite the case. 2 players focused in the bridge is where they're looking, but I have to think that at some point they're going to hear what's going on here and go.
Polish Power are still bullying Win or Die here. Desperate to try and close out. At least one more kill, but
I do admire the commitment. I mean, Extens is doing everything he possibly can to keep Gedrocks in the game.
Yeah, actually on the X-ray, pilot into a vehicle as well.
Here they come.
Yeah, they might be able to line this up, honestly, if the boat keeps a straight course.
They're going to be chasing them, that's for sure. Shots now being fired once more. Will they get up to the compound or will they not? Attacks coming through once more. It's not a far run, but it might be a run too far for them to make. 360s over the wall. That's going to add a little bit of a bonus. Maybe, I don't know, skills. We'll see. Parkour usually doesn't add anything to the game, but maybe I like to think that was what dodged the bullet.
Polish Power got a lot of ground to cover now with this new circle posting up. They almost have to on-foot wrap along the northern coast. And still, actually, the Western Bridge and Northern Lights about finding landfall, finally.
They've gotten accustomed to the whole shoreline play. They're getting used to it at this point. Now they're going, you know what, there's another shoreline we can play from over there.
Yeah, similar situation to the previous game here. I mean, lots of possibilities for the next to come through. Howl also making the cross. Well, but I'm looking, I mean, really Exalt with the one split player, there is actually an opportunity for Northern Lights to semi-safely find their way into this circle.
I think it's been a little while since we've seen this many teams opt to not take the pass across the bridge. There weren't a whole lot of teams managing to cross over on the east side after the kind of skirmish going on early on there.
Shooting at Northern Lights.
Yeah, it's they know that their own entry is going to be a little tricky, despite the fact that there actually isn't really anyone sitting on the other side waiting for them. For now, trying to deny Northern Lights an entry issue now becomes, should Northern Lights actually make landfall, it's going to be them holding out ends in the receiving end of things.
And had to eventually get in the vehicles, and
They
curious to see actually if they just hold on to the south side of this bridge, whether or not they send it through. I mean, fellas have repositioned all the way down towards new compound, and it's just going to opt to peel off right side.
Going into the hands of Polish Power to some extent.
Well, at least the information can be confirmed on the side of Polish Power, so gives them the upper hand in this scenario.
Spots one, spots two. Actually, I think you might have seen the entire team of there, at least now, with enough players spotted. You don't care if it's 3 or 4. That's enough info to go by. They are all up here. Shots being fired. First one found. Nuki instantly goes down. Point knows what hits it.
Just looks to find out what Marcelek. What a fantastic off angle. Actually doing a ton of damage onto Squeaky. Immediately drops him.
Happy. The run on forward. He has been the spearhead for some of these engagements so far. And he's been doing a fine job at it. Marcelek once again fights one more, and Ensbury just can't catch a break here. They were looking so consistent throughout the earlier stages of the tournament, but here, it's just been against them every single game so far. Scaff now solo player on his feet, and with the Polish Power playing the tournament, not today, but Polish Power playing the tournament so far, you have to think that he's going to go down, and yes, indeed he does.
Finds him, dude. It's actually insane. What a clearance from Polish Power. And again, great discipline shown just to line up, make sure that they can find that opening knock with the team shot. Beautiful stuff from Polish Power.
Might just have been needed in order to bounce back, because it has been a tough day for them so far here today. X falls down. That's from far away, actually, and
from miles away.
You'd think that there could be more teams in this combat. I'm looking towards Polish Power and thinking they might actually want to, well, I suppose fifth party to some extent this building here.
Problem being, though, this fight needs to conclude pretty rapidly. Look at that timer in the bottom right, and look where the new edge of the circle will lie. Not going to be comfortable for anybody here. Overpeakers, or the remnants of Overpeakers, and Woo.
A whole lot of players playing in from the south in this circle, mainly because there ain't really a whole lot to play down towards the south. A lot of the action, at least for the next couple of minutes, will be coming in here from the north side. You can see Navi pretty much pearls on a string up towards the north here, the shoreline, trying to find out where exactly do we have these Howl players. How can we wrap around them? How can we pin them in together, get within nade distance, and take them all out?
Spot here, but naded out. Actually, Melman spotted it. Any chance for him to play spoiler? Actually, back in the compound, you see Spyro actually opening up with that nade, but Fayo is doing so much damage.
Exalt, every time Northern Lights are like, great, we got a knock, let's push on it. They come around the corner, and Exalt are the ones defending Overpeakers.
It's really hindering their ability here, but look at Clib on the X-ray. Getting a little curious outside, but doesn't like what he saw. Spyro will get the flush there. Actually, Northern Lights, again, the ones that have to be first. But actually, look at this. Austrian Force on the pull-up.
Yep, there's just 2 left alive on the side of face. It happened so early that you have to assume that Austrian Force is well aware that it's just 1 left alive. Diggory can't get out of the building, manages to close the door, but now he's on fire. Gets out on the other side, but I'm not sure that's going to be enough for him to stay alive. Nope, example. The back of the head takes him down, face out in 15th. Again, it was a troublesome game from them from the start here. So they fall 15th.
So much damage there. He has to move away from that blue trinket in. And actually, the Woo don't want anything to do with this. They just dip straight out of the compound. Quizzy going to open up onto Rustamar on the hillside.
Going to make the continued push over the hill. Quizzy gets the flash on through. Fella's not really in position to do a whole lot about this. Miracle further down towards the south, and now Tixu trying to get out of the compound. Miracle might just get a, I was going to say surprise all fake, but that's not going to be the case because the entirety of the Woo peaked over the ridgeline at the exact same time.
Actually, still Clip doing damage here. Lou gets knocked. Clip once again down to sub 5 HP. Actually, a ton of damage done with that one, but close it out. Perfectix. Good for the headshot. Peel back now, and actually got to be careful. He gets knocked from Artie.
It's Exalt all over. They are the Kryptonites Northern. Every time they do something positive, things go against them, and these guys are the ones making it happen. Only 1 kill for Exalt so far, but I feel like they've had 6 knocks on Northern Lights already.
Spyro's still alive. Elsewhere, though, Polish Power now taking the fight to the Woo. Ibby just has a tree to work with. Quickly going to fall out. As is clean, systematic from Polish Power up to 10 kills already in this game.
We're not even 20 minutes into this game, and Polish Power are looking as hot as ever. Spiro trying to stay put, tricky position for him to be in. Exalt, well, it's been the death of Northern Lights. Let's see if they can do this. Do things to Polish Power. Double tap comes through. Maslek falls to his knees.
No chance of the flush coming through there. Maslek able to break line of sight. Actually, I'm curious if Spyro is actually going to be able to get back up now with the kill feed information and not coming through previously. Exile had to deal with. Just in time. So it was as two, but it's another salvage game for Northern Lights.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Doesn't. Worst thing is, I mean, Exalt knows of their position. Polish Power would have to assume is aware that they're down towards the south as well.
Yeah, at least that reposition that amounts to any northern side here, but don't manage to get from the shack once again with the vehicle. Plaza, not really much to do for him.
They were late on the rotation across. The circle goes down. I mean, this is a terrible circle too. We'll talk about that once, or if things kind of cool down here for just a split second. So much open terrain in the middle of where these guys are headed.
Well, that vehicle's not long for this world.
Yeah. And no,
should be. Yep, thank you.
Another
two to Polish Power.
Keeps on ragging them up. Ali, in the meantime, from out in the blue, it's not even him to find one. Actually goes down in his own Moldog, trying to get both of them back on their feet, but the attacks are coming in from behind. Alia gets a three-piece, and once again, Na'Vi looking good here today. Unfortunately, Alia does go down to the blue, and now Silas making an aggressive play out of the compound.
The example's still there, I think, in the blue. We're going to be able to, I mean, it's difficult here for the timing as well. Iroh actually going to find this one. Melman falls. Actually confirmed there from Pains.
Much needed points coming through from Austrian Force, currently sitting second to last. Medibay Miles out in the blue.
It's not pretty.
Would have wished that he hit those shots because there could have potentially been two knocks, but now Stardust are falling by the second. Just one lift on his feet now. As it's looking tricky, Nail Cup pushes on forward, but he's got the entirety of Foot Esports to deal with.
And nobody actively looking this way just yet, so almost going to allow him. No example previously. But there you go. And Nail Cup does get spotted out. Iroh to seal the deal. Only 7 teams remain now. Lots of teams falling in that previous shrink. Example still just a nuisance in the blue here. Trying to find anything, but blue will be his exit.
I like it. Valid effort, and then go for the tilt full spray there in the end of things. Unfortunately for him, doesn't work out. Fortunately for Polish Power, to get to stay alive with all 4. They have the high ground, but they're going to have to come off it in just a moment as the circle sends us up down towards the open fields once more. This Hates being up forward, Austrian Force trying to play it safe down behind. Sucker is down already. Paints might just be able to get back alive, but do you dare? Do you dare go for it, knowing that Ascent is right ahead of you?
Bit of poke there. Actually, Western catches a headshot. Response in kind from Mika. Stan's actually still down on the south side here.
I was just going to mention it too. Can we mention that?
What?
He's still chilling. They were running off the shoreline, being shot in the back by Polish Power earlier, and somehow he snuck his way in. I mean, we're at placement points, so every single team eliminated here is points in the back for win or die. The same way they started doing it on day one.
Any kill points left to pick up for some of these teams that do still have good position inside. Brexco actually going to find Silas out of the vehicle. The pull-up comes through, and not much else to say about it for Austrian Force. Pain's down at about 10 HP. Yeah, it's sealed the deal. Dante to find the headshot. All the way in the background here as question marks start to flex out on the west side of this circle. Then Hobbits and a doozy a little further north.
16 players alive and just 2 players inside the next circle. Kind of goes to show how little there really is to play around here.
Another nade going to be lined up for this tree. I don't know if that one's
too far? Yeah, I think so.
Brexco desperately trying to anchor here. Polish Power have to come off the top here, so Ascend have sent it pretty early, but Brexco able to lay down some suppressing fire.
Massive shots coming through from Brexco, trying to defend his teammates in the ball. You can see how Mika and Chris are sprinting side to side, throwing smokes all over to deny any damage being done by these nades being thrown on over. But now Hobbits, question mark, are well aware that Polish Power are currently focused towards the set. This is a smart push over the hilltop. Let's see them all.
Grenade come through. Aduzi actually going to be the one to pull the trigger. He finds 2. A beautiful cleanup with the SKS from Aduzi, just as Polish Power turned into desperation mode, hopping in the vehicle.
The 2-man push across that one as well. Such a ballsy play to run up the ridgeline, technically in full view of Foot Esports, but they knew they were looking the other way. They knew Polish Power were fully focused on Ascent. That's what allows them to make that transition up the open hillside.
See them getting curious previously where they flexed down. Actually, this 2-2 split paying dividends right now. Actually, coming into the end game, give them multiple angles to work with. I'm curious, actually, Phil First and Dante have a vehicle reposition with, I'd imagine so. At a quiet journeys thus far, Xstance finally spotted out. Doozy, that's actually going to be Hobbits.
What's going to happen eventually? But valid effort. Again, I mean, win or die. We talked about it in the earlier. Desport them up as well. They're one of the teams with the most placement points, and part of the reason is what we're seeing right here. They do not give up at all. They managed to get themselves a 4th place this game too.
Is a doozy. Managed to get it done yet. Beautifully done. Even to close out as well.
SKS, best DMR confirmed. Just saying.
Said no one ever.
Other than me and Aduzi, apparently.
Quietly though, Foot Esports still 4 alive here, Toby.
Yeah,
again, another quiet journey up until this point.
I was going to say they've kind of been backfilling the force on the southeast side. While all the action has been kind of going up towards the north, they've been slowly creeping on in. But, I mean, credits due. They're sitting 4 people alive, 3 teams left alive. This could be theirs for the winning.
Lyro semi-isolated here. Lyron on a wild send towards a rock or a crate or something. The reposition. Going to be able to break line of sight, but Aduzi catches him. There's just no suppressive fire onto question mark at all.
Even if he got there, I mean,
he's able to break line of sight. He's outside the utility range, but it's so early.
Are they going for the rest here? There should be no way they even try that.
I mean, they're going to try and crash the same rock, I assume.
The greatest hit, I guess. Yeah, I mean, makes sense. Now Dante's coming up to the rock in front of it. They are full on trying to counter this play. Nades are really close by. Iroh's going to have to back off it. There's one more nearby. Finds the first one, but Iroh returns. Found one. Dante was taken down as well from Weston from the side. Weston with the DMR has been an absolute beast here today. Aduzi now spots Ace Ascent over on the other side. Finds one. Again, such a player with this DMR.
Fresco with a little bit of a response here, but actually, when the green light's going to come, Odin actually responding on. It's Iroh to find Phil first and immediately come through question mark. Their numbers are dwindling now.
Despite the fact that Lion is what really sets this whole thing off, it's Foot Esports who are coming out victorious in all of this. They get the kills. This should be a 10-kill win for them. Should they be able to fight Micah? He's in behind Chris, but how do they go about this? Braxco, sorry, make that.
Nade coming through. Fresco actually going to reveal his hand, and the nade does a ton of damage. Weston to seal the deal. I said their journey here was quiet, but Foot Esports closing out comfortably here in the endgame. So
not going to be complaining about a 10-kill chicken dinner at all. And what a time to get it to. We're getting closer to the end of the 3rd day. It hasn't been that tournament. Maybe now it's when you get the momentum going coming into next week.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the sort of, some of these bottom teams, that's the sort of win they need, right?
Oh, yeah,
a confident clearance in the end game. It's things like that can really springboard them up the leaderboard as well.
Super game for Howl early. We see finally now we're back in the game. Same thing here for Foot Esports. Take it over to the desk.
Thank you. Yes, an impressive victory in a very difficult circle to play, with it being so open here at the very end. Saga and Avenger joining me. Saga, this is Foot Esports getting themselves back on the road again.
It's what we love to see. It's another one of the typical Foot Esports playstyle games where they come in extremely late. They avoided any shenanigans around the bridges. They made sure that there was no chance that anyone was going to be lurking that long. And they wrapped so far around the southern side of the military island and worked their way up through the military base itself and found themselves relatively uncontested on the eastern hill. And when the time came for them to opportunistically steal some space away on the low ground, they did exactly that.
Yeah. Really love this new iteration here of Foot. I am content with them going forward. I'm really thinking, especially 2023, it's going to look good. It's really hard for them to try to catch up to potentially a top 3 for them to go to PGC, but I'm really loving what I'm seeing from them so far. It's been super good to see Iroh back on the roster, of course, here, but also Weston has really proved himself on the roster.
And Odin, all things considered.
But he's been good the entire
just,
year.
just the whole roster. Let's just name all the names. But the thing is that yes, I mean, it was like we say about the history of FUT and kind of the question marks revolving around like if they should have even had an invite, etc., and things like that. But this is a roster worthy of an invite, even just being at the grand finals, because some of our invite teams didn't get it here.
And it's another indication, another example of a team that, while they can falter on TV, but having the resilience and the composure to come back and have those plays. If we look at yesterday's games, across the 5 games, they only picked up 3 placement points across all 5 games. So for them to come out now at the very end of it and steal away a victory, that's a big turnaround for them.
Yeah, I'm definitely concerned for their campaign in this game at the very last moments where they're trying to send towards rocks, trying to hold those positions, sending them towards a crate. The fight between question mark and ascend, all of these little moving pieces here together gave them just enough room, Avenger, to be able to hold on down in that south position.
And also, question mark going in and trying to make sure that Polish Power didn't get any further there, closing it out. Super insane shots from Adushi with this kill. It's actually really impressive. But yeah, 10 kills and 10 placement points there for 14-20. Polish Power with 12 kills means they're going to be getting 15. They're going to be clawing their way back to the top.
That's right. And the funny thing is that those 12 kills were relatively early in the game. So they could have been on the absolute warpath. They didn't take a high ground position later on, but unfortunately, well, for a little Marselek, just a little bit too wide.
Yeah, but teams like Polish Power and the way that they were so aggressively holding the positions as other teams are trying to make crosses on the West is a big reason why you see FUT Esports taking the very late rotation. And we don't often mention the distance traveled, but 35 kilometers, that's almost the length of the map, and that's the wide route they have to take to get into the position safely.
Sometimes this can happen when it comes to those military finishes, I suppose.
Yeah, for sure. Military finish is always really hard, especially when it's kind of a bait in the beginning. Our first circuit was not a guaranteed military, right? And then we had the southern one. The way you kind of set up here, you see Iro, the focus player of this game, well deserved for him, of course. Good game for FUT. And this was a little bit risky. He didn't like going down, but Weston with the anchor position was really important to make sure that finished off. But then some of the shots here, crazy to connect and to finish off question mark while question mark was putting pressure onto Ascend was crucial for the win and for Iro's focus here.
It shows what you can do with such little cover in these kinds of moments. If you're able to read Saga where every other team is, every other member of said teams and stuff like that, just those small angles that you can take the cover with, super important.
And it's the timing on it as well, because a lot of the times if you make that move into a position that is relatively exposed and you do give up that opening knock, even if it's a trade, it will very quickly fall apart. But with Ascend putting the pressure on, that's exactly what they needed to just outlast and survive that little bit extra where they were able to take those shots through the smoke. And it's the same thing as what we saw for question mark as they were slightly wiped out, or they actually wiped out Polish Power. It's the very same thing. They were taking a fight against Ascend up on the opposite side on the northwestern. Uzi over the top with the SKS. Lethal.
Well, let's take a look at Polish Power. In fact, they got themselves so many kills in this game going up against the Wu.
The Wu is a mix or like a built team before Guild Season 6, I think. With big names in it and young Nixie. The roster is really powerful. The experience in the team is also very strong. But I feel like mixes and like brand new teams might struggle a little bit. We were playing against them in qualifiers and we won some fights already against them. That's why we are never scared of them.
Absolutely on the warpath here, Polish Power being able to take out the Wu as well. And before even this went down, Saga, they were taking scouts left, right, and center.
Yeah, you can see that this early in the game with double-digit kills on the board, and they were really threatening a lot of the teams who were looking to make moves over on the western side of the zone. You saw Win or Die getting picked apart, not only by them, but by Question Mark, who was also on the boats as well, just caught in the middle of a sandwich. And Ents coming in once again, very, very late from Severny, tried to creep over the bridge, just went face first into Polish Power, got run over.
It's crazy when you have a team that almost has 10 kills when there's almost 40 players left alive. That really talks to how early their fights was and how they're able to make their ways with the Wu here. So really happy to hear from Marselek where he's like, we've had some fights. Maybe young Nixie is a little bit scared. The way they peaked, the way they used utility to kind of make their way forward, that is really what paved their way here.
Definitely so, definitely. And you can pave your way to looking great if you head over to the new merch, as we have of course, emea.merch.pubg.com. So go and grab yourself some new stuff, and it'll look really, really cool, especially with the PCS7 logo as well. So loving that, Avenger.
Yeah, the hoodie
Excited.
looks good.
The hoodie looks good.
Yeah, I really like it.
The hoodie does look good. I'm looking. I can see it behind you right now. What does it? Prove yourself.
Prove
Yeah.
yourself, yeah.
I don't need to prove myself.
Oh.
No, do you?
Well, if we had some of the merch, no, not at all.
Exactly.
True, yeah.
Exactly. You heard it here first. All right, we're going to go to a short break. When we return, we are changing focus. We're going to go over to Miramar. 2 more games remaining today.
Hello everyone, I'm Paige. I play for Team Heroic.
Hey guys, I'm Mexi and I'm playing for Overpickers.
Herkese merhabalar. Benim adım Odun Mavisi ve Foot Esports takımındayım.
Right now we are going to play What Happened Next.
Aslında çok basit. Önemli bir anın ilk bölümünü izleyeceğiz ve sonrasını tahmin edeceğim.
So without further ado, let's get started.
That's right. So the nature of these hills and the hillside. Oh dear, Alia and Navi rocking up on BNR. So a road to glory.
I am going to answer A. BNR destroys uninvited guests one by one.
Bence BNR aslanlar gibi çatışır ama pompalı tüfekiyle yerli sınır. B şıkkını seçiyorum.
I'm gonna go with the A. BNR destroys uninvited quests one by one.
That was kind of unexpected because I didn't see that one of the Navi guys had a shotgun, so it was definitely unexpected that he lost that fight there against him. But shotguns close range, they're good. What else can I say?
Bence BNR bu pozisyonda biraz ayrı bir şekilde oynamış. Beraber oynasalardı bence Navi'yi güzel bir şekilde alt edebileceklerini düşünüyorum. Tek fight dönmüş. Orada shotgun olduğu için zaten Alia avantajı alıp takımı öldürüyor. Oyuncu öldürüyor.
And Ents now know that they have some utility left.
pubg can make some space, and you can see this. They're trying to isolate with the smokes now. The blue is forcing them to make the move, and here comes Ents.
So my answer is A. A rapid rush by Ents leads the team to the lobby in seconds.
I'm gonna go with the A again. So a rapid thrust by S leads the team to the lobby in seconds.
Yani A şıkkını tercih edeceğim. Hızlı hamlesi, Ens'in hızlı hamlesi yetmiyor ve onları lobiye gönderiyor, şıkkını seçeceğim.
That was a really nice angle from Ivas, and Ents completely unexpected, or didn't expect that angle to happen, and they just crushed like immediately by him. So really nice play by Ivas.
Indeed, and that was actually cooked relatively well. Just the car kept driving. So here comes a Regnum Kaya, and the car gets knocked.
I'm just gonna go with the A again. So the Reg are all blown up with one frag grenade.
I am going to go with C. Reg is rapidly wiped out.
C şıkkını tercih ediyorum. Rek takımı hızlıca yok olur.
That's just pubg chaos. They pull up in some random dip that is not very good, and then the other team fly in with the other angle, and they already drive-bying and even knock one of their teammates there. So it's just pubg chaos that I guess it's fun to watch, but not much to do there when chaos like that happens.
Well guys, sadly this episode has come to an end.
Umarım bu yeni formatı beğenmişsinizdir. Gerçekten ilgi çekiciydi.
Thanks everyone for watching and enjoy the PCS7 Grand Finals.
Today I'm joined by one of the top fraggers from Win or Die. How are you doing, Extens?
Great, thank you. Hello.
Nice. Now, Win or Die has performed really great this PCS, but I think a lot of viewers don't really know you guys too well and aren't super familiar with your team. Can you tell me a little bit about your teammates and how you ended up together?
I'm playing with kind of new PUBG players. Kusara is kind of old, but Gidrox and Layosh, I know them like for 1 year, I guess, and they're kind of new in the game. They are good fraggers. They played a lot of tournaments in the past 2 years, and so I guess they're quite good experienced players.
Right now, on the leaderboard, you are in a position where you would qualify for PGC, I think. Is that extra pressure? Does that make you a little bit nervous sometimes, or is it just extra motivation for you?
I guess we have no extra pressure. We just we think that this PCS is not just like the tournament. We think that this is like just the qualifier for the PGC, and it's make I think a bit easier maybe for us.
Yeah. Nice. That's a good mindset. I like it. Last question, a little bit of a fun one. If you could add any player to your team, now don't think about replacing anyone, just any player you could put on your team, who would you pick?
I get James. I like him very much.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. That's going to be nice for him to hear. Thank you so much for the interview. I'll let you go play the next game, and good luck in the rest of the tournament.
Thank you.
That's right, the grand design focus from Extents there as they see this as a potential qualifier to go to PGC. Really looking further into the future here as we continue things for PCS 7 Europe. Joining me, Saga, as an Avenger, as always. And Avenger, so far so good for Saga's pick. Extents, that's looked great yesterday, especially.
For sure. Really, really fragged out yesterday. Played really well. A little bit of a underdog pick in terms of pricing, but he has really played well and put some points on the board for you. And also,
it's a good point. How much did he cost?
He was 18k.
That's a very good pick.
Cheap.
That might actually be the most efficient price pick so far. Maybe
He's
close.
Yeah.
Campy, I didn't get any points in game number 1, so yeah, we'll see. If it's still a fact.
Fair. All right. Well, hopefully, maybe we can take a look at the overall standings. I'm not entirely sure, but could that be fantastic? So let's take a look. So far,
oh my God,
Polish Power back on top. You know what? When they were, I had no question in my mind they were going to return to this position, Avenger.
No, but what really stands out here is 10 points only difference from 1st to 5th, and then our huge mid pack here, Saga, from 80 points in 6th all the way down to Navi and 12th. 10 points difference only there as well.
Yeah. 7 points between Navi in 12th and Ascend in 7th. That is
crazy.
A whole lot of movement that can go down, and bearing in mind the amount of teams that are looking at top 8 as a potential position that could theoretically give them a PGC spot. It's there's a whole lot of variables going on in that position, but a team like Ents, top 8 is what they need to be looking for, and they are unfortunately not one of the teams who's in that mid pack.
And also with this, obviously, 2 teams that are performing extremely well right now, Christian Wagner and I, would mean that Heroic would not be going to PGC. That would push them far out. And obviously Polish Power, that is already in top 8. It doesn't change much in terms of that, but it obviously guarantees them no matter what here. And it's looking really good for them. But yeah, Christian Wagner and I, with this performance here, we're soon halfway, guys. That would mean Heroic is biting their nails right now watching these games.
And FaZe, Navi, and Foot have been able to get themselves wins on the board so far. And actually, I will give people a little teaser as to what's happened at the very end of the show. What we're going to do is we're going to show you what is effectively the live PGC standing. So if the tournament were to have ended today, we could see what could have happened to that top 8 moving through to PGC. Of course, not done by any stretch of the imagination because we will have the 3 days coming up in the next weekend. But that's exciting, Saga, because it will give us kind of a little bit of a groundwork almost to see what needs to be done for those teams that aren't necessarily in the top 8 just yet.
Yeah, it's something that's evolving constantly as the tournament. Every single game, every single placement point, kill, point of damage really can just decide your own fate at this point in the tournament for so many of these teams. And it's a lot of pressure on those, particularly those who need to start performing, because we are running dangerously low on the amount of chances that they have left, with only 2 left until we get into the latter half of the competition. Now has to be the time for you to step it up if you need to.
Yeah, really excited to see the live standings there once we're halfway through. Definitely what we just said, it's going to be a fact. When at I, question mark, they're going to be pushing Heroic out. The question is, how deep can Win or Die take this, and can question mark hold on to that? If they're in there, they obviously have some points already. They're going to be pretty much guaranteed to go, because they're going to be mid-pack. They're going to be in there like 350, 400 points.
Yeah, definitely. So now we're moving on to Miramar. Of course, we've seen some shake-ups, some falls, some ups and downs for Miramar. Saga, what are you looking forward to here when it comes to Miramar?
This is quite interesting because question mark is a team that has done much better on Miramar. I mean, 2 points on a wrangle yesterday, not ideal. But them coming in with a solid set of games, a doozy looking very on point, and you can have the debate whether the SKS is any use whatsoever, but he certainly made it look like it was. But if it's not ideal, you don't want that on Miramar. You want the minis, you want the SLRs, the longer range, faster bullet velocity. That's what you need to be doing, is getting those scouting positions and high ground, Northern Lights all over it. Bit of a turnaround from them would be great to see as well.
I too wish my stapler was 4 foot long. Fantastic. I love myself some SKS. But anyway, it's time to head over to the commentators. Miramar on the cards. 2 more to go here. Toby, you excited?
I am, and I just want to say to a doozy, please play the SKS again on Miramar, just to prove Saga wrong, because it is the best DMR in the game. Right, Hype?
No.
I ain't got nothing to
I'm not with you on that one.
Lay it up for you and just...
Yeah, I mean, I closed it out in comfortable fashion, actually.
I just want to see a doozy do what it did last game, because he made it look easy.
I mean, let's be honest. Any other DMR in that same situation would have still done work. So an SLR would have been much quicker. Put it that way. Okay, well, yeah. To each their own.
True. We are headed over to Miramar, as the desk rightly said. This is a couple of seconds ago, and again, I mean, I can't help. I feel like we're banging the same old drum here, but I can't take my eyes off of Northern Lights. I know they're already through to PGC. I know that's what it is. But every team was out to get them in the last game. Stardust, their great win yesterday on Miramar is like the whole thing that set that up was their push onto Northern Lights early on.
I don't think Northern Lights' problem is other teams right now.
Probably not wrong, to be honest.
I think it's getting to the point now where we're just seeing Northern Lights in very unorthodox positions, uncharacteristic as well. Whether or not we could justify at the start of this grand final series of games and say maybe they want to go out and experiment, test a few things, and we haven't really seen that. It's just kind of been a bit lackluster, if I'm honest.
Yeah, not wrong. It does not look like the same team that we've seen in the past. Well, in particular, in the Miramar games. Now, as we get this one underway, a somewhat western skewed plane down towards the prison island over Oasis. Usually, that would also mean the first circle is going to somewhere on the western side of the map. Teams, again, pretty well spread out. We haven't really seen, fortunately, I think, any big engagements here in the early stages of the game. I wouldn't expect to see any here either.
No, I mean, the exception to that being Northern Lights, right? With Stardust making a mad dash on one of those Picardo favoring circles, and then Polish Power to come through and third party that engagement as well. It's about the only real early engagements, or at least setups, we've seen previously on Miramar, and it's pretty far south.
You can say that again. That is as south as they come. I wonder, you know what? If we're doing like a polar opposite of Oasis, we are going to end on the small island east of Los Hijos. If we're going as far south with shift 2 as the second shift went north. Yeah, in the game yesterday, we'll see. For esports, well, coming off of a win, they have just been gifted this first circle. Everything is up for the taking for them. Curious to see where they're going to end up setting up shop. They're not really a team to do these wide splits and play full center control. Usually they're backfilling, they're coming in late. But now, this time around, circle, well, right on top of them. Where did they opt to play from? I'm curious to see.
Okay, I mean, initially, maybe a slight adjustment here on the loot area. But they've got to be careful because maybe he's a little bit split here. Almost, playing dead center here. Actually, I mean, similar to the quarry circle we saw in Erangel, there's basically 3 teams in the first zone.
Yeah.
Again, a little more uncomfortable to be rotating in on the west side of this, obviously with Valdemar and some of the terrain obstacles that lie just south of Chimicera. So again, that choke point that comes out of Los Leones, and actually where the roads are very, very sparse as well. So it can be pretty tricky to come in. Expect a good chunk of teams actually to favor maybe coming in just kind of center in between Chumacera and Los Leones. But I mean, rap it takes a long time to get into this circle if you're rapping.
And that's the thing, right? You gotta go early, or you gotta just accept the fact that it's gonna be a while before you get down there. Ascent, likewise, I mean, to some extent, to what Wu's been doing, sending EB into the middle. Kildekai is slowly treading forward, trying to see how far he can go without stepping on a landmine. And so far, he's doing all right. I feel like today really has been the day of upsets in regards to the leaderboard. I feel like the only two teams we are missing in the whole turning things around, finally getting things going, is Ents, obviously sitting last place, but Ascent too. I mean, we saw them in the earlier stages. They got things going. It just hasn't happened at all throughout the grand finals here. Now, I mean, similar position to Foot Esports. Not saying anything is given, but they are in a very good position here in the first circle. Curious to see how they'll make use of it.
Yeah, I think as the frustrating thing with Ascend as well is we've seen glimmers of hope, right? You know, considering it.
I'm not in a hurry.
He's dropped an extended mag.
Or he was just trying to ping his head to show where the extended.
More about marking on the map or anything.
If you don't take this extended mag, I will shoot you, or just bounce you off the road all too.
I mean, just polish power up on the screen, looking at some of the in-game settings, and obviously the stats previous to that, they were, actually tracking at 12 points per game average. And no, actually, it was initially a big adjustment in terms of the playstyle that we were seeing. They were way more eager to take fights out in the open as well. Some kind of bold and brazen decision making coming through, but that was what kind of swung the pendulum, right? That momentum actually carried across into Erangel, where we saw them adapt a similar play style. So one of these teams that you talk about really thrives on momentum and making some of these confidence plays. Once they close out team fights, they play very fearless. Actually, once they get that kill behind them, they really look to pile on the pressure on the lobby.
Well, we talked about you having to hurry up if you wanted to make the wide wrap around the west side. Faceland has found themselves bikes to do exactly that. I would assume to see them swap those bikes for more vehicles granting you more cover should you come to a fight later on, or vehicles you can actually shoot from, should that be needed at some point. But right now, speeding down the west side of the map here, trying to make their way into phase one.
A couple of teams getting ahead of this main migration, I guess. Overpeak is another one that actually said, I mean, particularly as well, mentioned on the back of Polish Power's performance. Tactics considering it. But yeah, Overpeakers as well, putting up 10 average points per game on Miramar as well. And they've had some solid games. Again, a favoured couple of circles being towards Picado, obviously the Monte Nuevo circle as well, that we saw. I think it was Vard and Mexi clean up as a duo on a couple of different teams in the end game. So those are the ones that we definitely have our eyes on if you didn't already have them on Polish Power.
Yep. Away west around Los Leones, finally inside the circle as the big migration towards the south continues. No real confrontation so far. The center is being pretty clustered really already. I don't know why, but I'm kind of expecting it. I would expect Ents that they're going to be coming in very late, so this time around it won't happen. But we do oftentimes see one of those teams that will actually send a couple down towards Los Leones, or at least just have some sort of bridge control should the unthinkable happen and send the next circle down south. Because if it does, I mean, you're playing the 1 against 50 odds here, but when it hits your number, you're going to be gifted a top position.
The later teams have fewer options, right? So they always make those kind of lower percentage plays, but at least some safety in circle one, even just getting in past Valdemar or obviously down on the other side past Puerto Paraiso is the first obstacle, right? At least if they can get themselves across to the South Island, maybe get themselves set up and consider mounting some kind of attack onto one of the bridges.
Iron, alongside Weston, trying to make sure that no one comes in, does any damage to them in that position. And again, I mean, I really want to give a massive shout out to Weston. I feel like Iro has proven himself a long time ago in this game, and now he comes back and does it again. Odin has been a big name for the Foot Esports team for a long time, but Weston, to me, this tournament, I feel like every time Foot Esports have been about to fall apart, every time things have gone against them, the times that they have managed to turn that tide, Weston has really been one of the players that has gone out and delivered, you know, that one crucial headshot when need be, found the knock when he had to, come to the crucial rest when he needed to. It's great to see all the players now starting to, you know, show up in each their own way and delivering. Again, it's not been a stellar performance for esports so far, but they're sitting in 8th, and as Des talked about earlier, it is incredibly close in the middle.
Actually, yeah, I thought it would have been Odom. It's actually Western leading the charge for esports.
Yeah.
It's been impressive to see both of them put in clutch situations as well. We think back to Odin, obviously, with the shotgun play previously. But there's been a number of times we talked about Foot Esports just happy to play really scrappy in some of the urban endings particularly, but looking very, very proficient in team.
That last game, it's just sometimes I like to think that for the most part I can kind of predict what certain teams want to do depending on what we've seen them do in the past. But that push from Lyron to go alone up against the Rock in the middle of the open field, him going down, I thought, oh no, they've goofed this one. I mean, they've tossed it, and somehow they still managed to turn it around despite the fact that Lyron falls in the Millie game they won just before. It goes to show that even when things go against them, even when all hell breaks loose, they're a team now capable of sailing the storm and finding their way to the win.
Well, nice with White. I mean, Perfectix previously was left on the north side of Power Grid, now positioned over to the east side of Tumasera in the church. Bit of oversight here on the rotation of fellas coming through. Actually open up, you can see on the map here. Hoping that nobody responds onto this, because there's a big gap between him and any teammates.
Let's see fellas, and of course, I mean, you can tell him not to shoot all you want. He's going to be shooting. He's going to be wanting to get his name up there in the top damage dealers, in the top kills. And well, right now he has the most kills so far, but still sitting in second place damage-wise. That is something he's looking to change.
18 from the first 3 games, but hold that thought, because Overpeak is finally pulling up onto at least one side of Foot Esports, who are still pretty spread. Iro actually a little further north of this, Western over to the east.
He's just isolated. He's trying to kind of wrap around the side. He's on a solo push forward mission, and he's got pulled up on by not the entirety of Howl, but at least 2 of them are here. Matt and Lassa here, and they will have heard all of this.
He's only got smokes to try and hold on to this building as well. Iron actually helping out, slowing Lazar down, doing a ton of damage, but he's got himself a shotgun now. That kind of cancels out the need for some utility to slow down any building push, but Howler collapsing on this.
Once you hear that one being reloaded, you go, do we really want to push up those stairs? Because there's a building we've seen time and time and time again just not being pushable. Well, it's these ones here. One inside. James, does he spot him? Yes, he does, but misses the first shot. He's going to fall Schofield. Gets himself a lucky one there. James not one to usually miss those, but happens in that situation.
Rabid on the push on the way in, actually.
Yeah.
Seems unlucky not to get the jump on him inside the smoke. And Circle actually pulling back out to the north somewhat. And see how the land lies here, with Stardust only being the ones out disconnected on the south side. We talked about maybe 1 or 2 teams considering it. But I mean, with Foot Esports feeling a little bit of the pinch. Oh my God, clip. But yeah, there's not an awful lot you can do about that.
There's no counterplay. No counterplay at all.
For you? About 4 seconds for those bullets to land.
Had a comment, but I'm not going to say it because it's just going to be really rude.
Tons of damage done.
Adusi, where are you? I need you, man. I need you.
That rotation was really feeling the heat there.
Okay. Lyron, please. Oh, what, Mini didn't even hit him. Terrible.
Anyway, Hal get away with it. Actually repositioning back towards the warehouses here. Pretty heavy Eastern favor.
Oh, SKS headshot, body shot, easy knock.
Right. Well, example's upside down in a vehicle. So
it's as if it just never wins. I just can't win these fights. Fortunately, Lyron can. Let's get example. Where do you commit to the Navi? Full speed forward. Uber there now. Ready and waiting. Finds the first one. Will they commit the rest of them? Yes, they will. Melman out of the vehicle. Takes a little bit of damage for running straight into the tree and headshot through. Iro doing a ton of damage here.
Try and post this nade inside. That's Melman inside. Oh, It just bounced off. It came back out. Melman absolutely beams him off that window.
That is a great shot and a crucial timing on it too. You can see just up above them, Wu are there looking in that direction. Not going for the flush just yet. He wants the rest first. Now can't really figure out, do I go for it here? Nope, go inside. Smart play on the side of Melman here. But Wu, again, looking to go in this direction, but haven't quite committed to it just yet.
Again, with Foot Esports losing one early, you'd almost expect Iroh to come back and regroup here with the rest of Western and Lyran, especially on the back of this circle pop. I don't know if he just felt a little uneasy about the regroup, but
yeah,
certainly with taking an early casualty, form of Odin, would have hoped that the regroup would come through there. But unless come through, we'll get the res. Still positioned to the south. It'd be still split away from the Wu and actually bouncing back the other direction now. So Hal definitely kicking themselves after over rotating towards the eastern side here. You know, actually they were positioned to the south of where last two members of Foot Esports were. Overpeakers have got themselves an edge and actually a choke point in terms of the road as well.
I mean, as much as they would probably want to be further center on this one, you'd have to imagine that they do not want to go away from here. Running shoreline, not sure if there was a DC involved in that or upside down car, what that was, but fortunately he does go down. I don't think there's actually a door there. Not quite the case either. Exalt feeling the heat as Face push forward towards.
Exalt still split as well. 3 in this compound, but Fate very far away from this one. So FaZe with the numbers advantage here. They opt to force the issue onto Exalt. That chip damage, not really enough, but there's fellas actually pulling up onto the backside of Northern Lights' hilltop. Vectix in on off angle here. It might be able to open this up.
They've been running side by side for a while, so I was going to say they both have to know each other's whereabouts. Nice off angle, though, using the grass for cover, but it's Sixer to find the first Lou. Thought he had a good spot there, didn't hit the shots he had to. He's going to fall down. Perfectix now trying to reposition himself against Sparrow, and Batulin's not really in a position to help him all over the hilltop there.
Yeah, Miracle and Rustamar looking to wrap the side here, and actually third-party damage coming in, I think, from Question Mark, way outside.
He carries him?
Just on the edge here, but the Reds is going to be really problematic for them.
He's trying to run off with him. In the meantime, other teams trying to make the fully committed push on forward. Lyran goes for the full send. Not going to work out for him. Hunted down by Stardust. Tries to get away from them. Not going to happen. Ascent in the meantime now down on the southern shoreline, trying to stay put and face fan. Back to them we go in the fight against Exalt.
Kills on the board just yet, but you can see in the kill feed, actually things falling apart for Northern Lights. Figure trying to find he can through the doorway. Molodok on the reposition. Fex actually gets himself up on the rooftop as well. But still do have one down. It's Fate though. He's outside, so there's still 3 strong at the compound. A doozy get out on the minimap as well. He's looking to get a little curious, maybe to third party disengagement if he gets some kill feed information.
What's going on down here, no doubt, but having no teammates around, so a little bit of a dangerous peek over that ridgeline with Gustav still sitting up above. Of course, he's probably not aware of that, but dangerous position again. As an SKS, I'm just gonna. But the shotgun dual barrel Saiga.
That's not a building you want to push.
You do not want to make your way anywhere near that. Anywhere near that at all. Howell, in the meantime, you mentioned the 4 top rotations in from the east. Now they've actually committed to Outthrown, and the circle's going to favor the east side mountain.
To play on the underside of this ridge as well. Overpeakers still off to the east side. Clib of the compound, though, looking to maybe scout forward just a little bit. Real threats in this area. The Wu, who are spread across the high ground, the north of that, and Stardust as well on the west. So now actually win or die with that third party angle onto this. Force one back inside, but actually you can see on the minimap now that new circle posting. Somebody's got to make a move in this situation.
Forward. Like, so at least, I mean, he saw one, but couldn't quite get the angle to find the knock. Fex is sitting out there raiding with a nade in hand. Lops one forward, no damage done. This is going to be a waiting game, but with the circle going east, these teams will have to move. So it's really going to be on FaZe, I would say, to decide, do we want to commit to this, or are we just going to try and get away from here?
At this point, it feels a little uncomfortable to hop in these vehicles and just pull away with Nothing really to force any pressure onto Exo. Spyro going to get pulled up on now. Fellas looking to seal the deal on that previous engagement. Batulin's this man standing now. Tries to get something done. Going to find Tiksu. Actually, the rest of Fellas of the miscommunication here, because they're finding another engagement. Not to Ents here, Target.
Yeah, this is not organized at all. The way they're approaching this, going over on the other side. Ents taking some casualties, but staying alive. In the meantime, Art and Favors, as we see them in the kill feed, they're actually making something of face. They lose 3, and there comes the last! Shotguns galore. Favors found 2. The third goes to Monologue. Art finds 1 as well. And Diggory and Face, well, you said it, Hybok. That's not a building you want to push. They did, and they failed.
Yeah. They found out. Let's put it that way.
They did. Saiga dual barrel pump action waiting for you. What's not to like?
He was desperate to try and get some of this damage. Metabiati with a response to force him away. Question mark now on the reposition. Ascend quietly, still 4 alive, and spread very thin along the southwestern quadrant of the circle.
Like this wrap around, actually. They use the time that Exalt the fighting phase to say, great, we don't need to be part of that. Let's wrap around, get a good in the circle position, then we can hold down whichever team comes out on top in that fight.
So you have again the same cross that we were talking about that is going to be difficult from the compound. Tuglin's spotted out now. It's just another game from Northern Lights where the setup there, you can see the intention, but the execution just poor.
Trying to do some more damage, succeeding in doing so, but not finding any knocks on Exalt as they cross on over. Moldog does go down now. Spyro, single player left alive, little to work with. The entirety of Polish power now coming his way, so you'd have to imagine he's dead in a matter of seconds.
Spindle died, forcing I think Marsalek off that initial angle. Again, the nade sent very deep here. Spyro's just got a couple of blades of grass to call home for the time being. I swear that split from Ascend. Actually, if it was Brexco that finds it, but Clib's been knocked out in the open. The rest of Ascend, meanwhile, look at this. Beaker's fallen. They're trying to mount an attack onto question mark.
Trying to make the southern wrap around here, or at least fend off the push coming in. The issue is, as you can see as well, Braxco is completely kind of isolated from his team. Maybe he would have had an angle down there, but you have to imagine that they need him up close. They need him to be an equal threat to the rest of them who are nearby. Let's see, here comes the push from before. Arctic finds 1, Favors with the Saiga finds the double. And then around the corner comes the last arriving player with the shotgun mode. There you go, straight to the face.
AC gets absolutely dropped coming through that doorway.
Not a whole lot you can do about that, unfortunately. Chris peeks on over second time around. Spots more than he likes. Oh, you'd imagine. Yeah, exactly. Swap over to those nades. You see an entire team now. Peeks with the nades once again.
That's bold, actually, to do the second peek.
Yeah.
Especially to the nade in hand, but question mark. Happy to just force the issue. They're charging up the hillside. There's a snake in the midst. Where did Archie come from?
That is snuck up. I think he's been around for a while, but actively crawled further towards this. And now he finds himself in the middle of all of his. Ferris will go down. Not too much Art could do about it, really, with the win or die coming in from behind. Now, here he is, right next to...
We're going to deal with Mexi as well. Just leaving 1 standing for Overpeak. That's Vard.
We also just mentioned for a second the question mark took first place in the tournament so far. We have 2 open qualifier teams taking first and second place, and winner tie in 4th. That is not
out as well. So
exactly, that is incredibly impressive. Adusi adding to the numbers, just pushing themselves further ahead of Polish power.
Hard now. Just waiting for somebody from Na'Vi to give him something. I think it might have even been spotted there. Yep, got to pull the trigger. Aaliyah quick to it, though. Overpeak is 11th. Actually giving Na'Vi a lot of space to work with now ahead of this circle shrink as well. Like, actually, Uber's got his sights set towards Austrian Force. I don't have confirmed information on that side, but Western RV happy to back him up.
Mark now, shots being fired towards him. Stardust try to fend them off. Medibay, I mean, these guys are shooting in all directions. That's the, I suppose, benefit of high ground is that you can see everything. Downside of it is everyone's coming for you. And right now they're feeling it. By every second, question mark is getting even closer, and Win or Die doing the same thing from the north. So they've got to pick a fight eventually, or else they're all going to come for them. Nail Crop, though, does manage to land a good nade onto Dante.
Creeping right, it's still split here. Sent very split, and actually Apocalypse relayed that information. Actually, Celtic, the perfect bait. See Celtic just spamming shots into the air there to try and pull Brexco his direction. Apocalypse into a position to punish him.
Great play from Stardust. Seen a lot from them in the past that make their way through to the finals, and here they are, sitting 9th currently, but a very doable jump into one of the top positions. Question mark. Still with Hobbits left to play, lobs one more nade over and extends again, able to find kills this time around. The Doozy falls.
Be able to get that first aid off the Mad though.
They hold that.
Look at this, Howl looking to collapse here onto Stardust. A ton of damage coming through, and actually Schofield finding one into Chris in the mix.
Howl have just stolen the kill, making their own. Well, it looked good for them. Stardust feeling it as they try to stay put through that one. Hobbits solo fight against Kelty, trying to both of them make their way to placement points. It's going to be Kelty. Nice peek around the ridge line there, or the rock, I should say, to stay alive. 8 kills for Stardust. Even if they fall here, it's still going to be a respectable game, but they would have wanted more with the initial position they had.
Try outside the zone now, but has to just wait as Howl sweep through this southern side now. Actually, flip side of that, Win or Die looking to make moves over on the western front as well.
Na'Vi backfilling on this one. 2 kills. See, again, solo player left alive, but still.
He's going to run into Kiryu-Kai.
Yeah, you'd have to match. Because of that, Flash somehow bounces down. He's just going to get one right. Nope, Schofield is peeking info. Not that just yet. Kelsey's running out of bullets. That's suboptimal. That nade from Matt might be it, but Win or Die over the top extends again. Such an impact player for the team.
Find Lauza on the top side here. That makes it very difficult for the Mad to close this out. Kiryu-Kai actually comes out. The Mad deals with him, though. No real damage done, so it doesn't even make things easier for Celtic.
22 for Kelty to work with. Nothing to spare here at all. Matt holding the angle. He's going to hear the footsteps. He's going to see him, and he's going to take him down. Howl, once again, getting things going. It's not going to change too much on the leaderboard, but wow, they've been climbing back up today.
Ruin's still tucked on the underside here. I'm not sure if he's still there or not, but Laos going to deal with him. Win or Die with that sweep along the west will be rewarded. 4 kills on the board for them now. Na'Vi at least looking back this way. Uber still holding Austrian Force at bay. That's going to take a ton of damage here. I think Bascu actually connecting onto him.
Forces played their way in pretty slow on this one. 3 kills for Na'Vi so far. They've been quiet ever since it went down earlier as well. Been kind of a back and forth between the two. Now the circle, hard favoring Polish Power. They're still 4 alive. They've already got quite a few kills this game. And, well, circle just went their way. Best of luck. Spots get right in the open. Easy pickings for him.
Oslek and Krunia, though, eager to make something work in this zone for effectively everyone should die, right? Except for Hens. It's going to be difficult for anyone really to find any comfortable terrain to work with. Still curious as to whether or not Bascu or Pains are going over this ridgeline, but difficult push. Na'Vi have to make something work here. I mean, pick your poison. They even push towards the compound with the Wu. They take this engagement with Austrian Force.
Regardless, they're going to get backstabbed by the team they don't take the fight to. So it's going to be tricky. One thing's for sure, if they do opt to take a full-on fight, they're going to have to full commit to it and execute on it quickly. No committed play's been made just yet. Circle, though, starting to close in now. Where, oh where, Na'Vi, do you go?
Westlock with a ton of damage there onto Norcus to clean
through
things
the
up.
Smoke, too.
See, Win or Die falling there. 3 kills on the board now for Polish Power. Tyler's finally putting some damage in. Na'Vi actually opting to try and flip through the middle here. I mean, the Wu, they will eventually have to come out of the compound. So Na'Vi have got to be careful on the timing here.
There's no way they let them push in from behind. You'd have to see how it's going to pan on out. Seeing the shotgun in the hand of Bestel, I probably realized I'm not going to be using my DMR much more this game. Uber now in the blue tanking a few. Nade from Mask who takes down Alia. Melman and Uber alone for the team, and Nuki now falls as well. Polish Power, despite the fact that Ents hasn't been making any sound at all as of late, still noticed by Polish Power. First one to fall is going to be Nuki. Not sure if we can get it back up.
If Alia's going to be able to crawl away.
Oh, Company.
Nixie going to follow up onto Melman here. So it puts Uber in a very, very awkward position. And actually, Nixie comes out with the shotgun, going to seal the deal. Na'Vi falling in 5th, down to 10 HP, but should be able to get his first aid kit off now. Austrian Force actually peel back towards the eastern edge that they had. And Polish Power looking to get aggressive on the south side of their compound now. So only Cappy inside, and he's laying damage down to Austrian Force. This could put Masterlek, Norkis, and Crunio in a position to push through, actually.
Sure, coming into this game, we talked about teams who wanted to join to be part of the We Got Things Going, at least on the final day. Austrian Force ends while having both taken casualties, are still in this game. And while a potential 3-4 kill win won't be anything to write home about, it still could be the little momentum that needed to get going coming into the next week. Ends, well, currently pretty much the only team inside the circle. Austrian Force has a run to make as Nixie shoots down but doesn't really hit anything.
It's going up. That could
Is
be
it going to
good.
be far? No, sure.
We've been in this dip for quite some time now. Actually, when Polish Power came out with the nade, I think it was Austrian Force that actually forced them back off the angle to follow through on that knock. Stalemate developed here, but Austrian Force need to be the ones to move first. Got to get past. Crunio still tucked into, I assume, is yeah, you can see it here. Norkis with great oversight of this position.
Again, as Crunio playing the kind of spoiler booby trap up close, that should they know extend a peek down towards the compound, he's going to be right. The issue now becomes he was visible to end, so he has to back off, and now actually it's going to be Vasco finding Nixie. So Wu, the team that you thought would be engaging last in all of this, are the first one to take casualties, and ends. Again, it's just 1 point, but they're much needed with where they currently are on the leaderboard.
I'll probably be an Austrian Force is still alive.
Yep.
So actually, to say that, maybe not for much longer. Crunio comes over the top. He's going to find 2 pains, and Vasco will fall.
There's a surprise element, just like that Austrian Force dealt with, and we're down to our last 3. Polish Power, all 4 alive up against a solo in best of luck, and ends playing with 2. You'd have to put your money on Polish Power here with how they've been playing the tournament and how they've been playing in the last 2 matches here. It was a doozy who dealt with what was a very, very big one for a high kill win in the previous game on military. Now, seems like they're coming right back for the win.
So you're going to be able to close the distance if Benz can do any damage. Polish Power split in 2-2, so they have multiple angles here. Squeaky actually opens up. He finds the first knock on the Masterlek.
Get the second one. It was close, though. Will he get the flush? Yes, he will. Again, Squeaky ends can't really allow for any points to slip away from them here. That's one.
He gets a headshot, though. Forces him off the angle.
So much damage done. No meds
no
left
meds,
for Nuki. No vest either. It's 1 tag if placed right, and that's going to be Nuki down and out. Squeaky is going to have to be the angle player with what little they have to play with. He's the one closest to the center of the circle, but look at this. Again, no vest for him either. That's 2 lethals, 1 molly, 1 flash, 1 frag grenade. But is that going to be enough? Nuki builds his position, but not too much to do with it.
That comes through from Squeaky, but Polish Power now, after losing one, they're probably going to let the time burn away against his position. I mean, they start in an awkward spot, but you got to question the utility that Eds have available. Already a lot of smoke deployed towards Squeaky.
They're smoking him off. They're trying to isolate so they can go for Nuki. I like this play. Nuki's been active in shooting, and they know approximately where he is. So trying to deny him vision. The issue is Squeaky is using these smokes against them.
Actually, Nuki doesn't fall immediately either. Norkis out in no man's land right now. Cappy's taking a ton of damage as well, Toby.
Yep, gets the first aid off, has a few more to work with. More flashes are being thrown on forward. Are they going to get the ratio? Imagine Squeaky, though, has him behind the tree, but it's going to be Norkis to find the final kill. 8 kills, not flashy from Polish Power, but they got all the kills last game that they didn't this one, and they get the win with it.
I mean, it's nearly bloody did it. They nearly did it. Squeaky doing a ton of damage in the late game now as well. Actually, if Cappy falls, actually creates a really interesting dynamic there.
Very winnable. Had the mitts to get back up to full. No vest, but still looked very good. Struggling, to say the least, this tournament. So back to you, James.
Yes, they have, but Polish Power pick apart the peasants to produce perfect pierogi. They get themselves the victory here, as we now have Polish Power firmly, actually, now in #1 Saga. This is kind of crazy.
I just have to confirm that wasn't rehearsed.
No, it wasn't.
That's the first time he's done that, and I'm very impressed.
Thank you.
But it was a really great move from Polish Power, once again showing that they can, as well as being the full send aggressive team actually play a more measured and stemmed aggression playstyle as well, holding on to their position in the compound while so many of the teams were struggling to get up the mountain towards the southwestern side. Everyone else towards the north, Polish Power included, was just holding their own for the time being. And then as soon as Phase 7 popped and Polish Power saw an opportunity to take the central control, that's exactly when they made the move.
Yeah, I rehearsed it 5 times in my head. Avenger?
Did you?
Yes.
Fantastic. It worked out quite well, and you promised us more peace.
I did.
As we were coming down, especially now that they won, you had to do it, of course. Super well executed by them. Compounds was strong. Playing uphill like that, I gotta say, Squeaky there, that was close. Kind of hoping for a little bit more. They needed this so much, right? They've really struggled so far, and we're almost halfway through. So they really needed that to try to kind of poke into that middle there. But it is Polish Power with not that much damage and kills as we usually see for them, but a good amount of utility to secure them that win. And this is a case of where they're thinking, all right, guys, this is potentially just a free win. Let's just ensure that we get it. So they're not as aggressive as they get there. So ends there in second place with 12. And Woo with 10 to go along with Stardust too.
I think that's the important thing that we mentioned there in terms of Ents being able to, as they said on the desk as well, Saga, almost do that. It was close towards the end. A lot of off angles taken, a lot of utility, smokes as well as flashes coming in there. And if it wasn't for things like Norcus just wiggling around and finding himself a tree out of the smoke, it could have been a totally different game.
Yeah, Squeaky finally managing to come to life. He has really been struggling for Ents so far, particularly the first couple of days. But now it's great to see that they can make an appearance towards the late stage of the game. And they did so well in the group stages. We've just been waiting to see them actually have the chance to show it. This time, 12 points is almost a third of the points that they've had over all of the games so far from this game alone. But Polish Power, it's the opposite end of the spectrum for them. An 8-kill win is nice, but all it does is extend their lead.
And Noctis knocking the nerds here, Avenger.
Yeah, making sure he gets the win. The right peak there definitely won that for him. A little bit of a flashbang being traded back and forward. Really good to see. Noctis, our player focus, very kind of even in terms of we don't have really some huge standout players. We don't have the 1K club. We don't have like 7-8 kills. So it's obviously one of our winning. Got half of the kills of the team. Pretty impressive for a win with 8 kills here.
When a circle like that kind of comes to have that kind of compound, don't be too overeager.
Oh, of course. And I actually like that because that is not something we usually see from Polish Power. They usually are eager. They're usually the one of the teams to be sending 2 players out, trying to maybe aggress, trying to sniff out a little bit more of those free kills that could potentially come from a third party, right? So I like this kind of laid back. You need to take some of the free wins. You still have to defend. You still have to win the last game situation here. So happy to see the lack of aggression on this one to secure the win.
Yeah. Saga, all the teams that you thought impressed you in this game?
Well, I actually liked sort of what we saw from Stardust in that game before. And while we, once again, we had the phase 1 circle and we were maybe looking at it and thinking, there's an island down there. That looks a little tasty. But they were the only team to actually commit the whole team onto the island. But phase 2 shift denied us once again the fun zone, which, you know what, we'll give it a break. We've had a lot of fun chaotic zones so far. But the fact that they were able to make a full send over the bridge, up the road between the likes of Howl, Foot down on the southern side, over peakers, they went through so many teams and ended up with 4 players strong, holding onto the mountainside. But when the push did eventually come through from the likes of Question Mark, there was so many teams lurking in that position that they bypassed, that just encroached on them at the same time, got the third parties in, but it was a valiant effort to try and hold the hilltop.
When they did that rotation, they probably closed their eyes and imagined we're driving so fast, nobody's going to see us. Send it. But it worked quite well. I like the high ground that they took. Also, the circles that kind of got against them. I was hoping to see none of the compounds being in there because the low ground compound is super strong. The high ground compound and the Wu is in for a long time is strong. You can still have a lot of players coming in from along the kind of lower ridges and stuff.
Yes.
But I would like to see the kind of further west endings rather than this one here because it becomes so hard to get into the compound and kind of get into a good position to try to attack.
Well, you mentioned the Wu and the potential strong compound that they had. We'll actually check in with a TeamSpeak moment from the Wu.
Might be close best, still camping you on Nixie side. But I don't hear him. Probably left Nixie. Pick Navi, Nixie.
You saw him in the smoke, directly down right. Low smoke, down right, dead smoke. Yeah, left.
Yeah.
You see him?
Yeah.
They're in front of you, Besta.
Okay.
Fighting orange. You farm them, Nixie. Nice, no?
I needed one spawn.
On me.
Lost the kill.
Good.
Nice.
Go in front. You have a stone. You have a stone to play.
Yeah.
Where? Okay.
Orange.
Just waiting for my spawns.
Can you smoke for me in front of me?
No.
You run. You just run.
Even just as two there, the Wu being able to make things happen and still be able to keep moving. I mean, the thing that I like most about all of that Avenger is the fact that you've got those people that are, yes, out of the game, but still providing so much information, important information.
Yeah, super crucial information. Also, if you just have the slightest doubt, right? You see here, he's like, that smoke. It's like he's peeking around.
Yeah,
and also information is coming both from Quiz as well. I gotta say that what I'm most impressed with that is how good Besto's English is now compared to what we remember from the 2019 PL interviews, where it's mostly yes and no answers we got from him. Now you can hear it's really clear comms from him, and it's really providing a lot of information perfectly in English.
Yeah, definitely. Saga, final thoughts on that Mirror before we head off?
I think there's a lot of impressive stuff coming from. One thing that certainly stood out to me was Hobbit's 760 meter knock and flush onto Northern Lights from across the high ground, and it looked almost like that was going to be the nail in the coffin for NLT as the push was coming in from Fellas, but they outlasted it, although not for too long. But at the very least, it's good to see that they were able to salvage something from it.
And as much as I love Northern Lights, it is also nice to see everyone putting the boot into Northern Lights and trying to take this.
Oh, it's been a while.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely been a while. Anyway, thank you very much, guys. Time for a break when we return the final game of the day, and in fact, the whole weekend. So stay tuned. That's right, the McLaren has made its way to PUBG Battlegrounds. So if you're interested in being able to pick it on up in game, you can head over to in game right now and be able to do all the things to be able to pick it up. I love you, McLaren. You're fantastic. I'd run over there and give you a big hug, but you're a little too far away. So that is the McLaren. Make sure to pick it up. We love changing all of the coupes in the game to the McLarens, and I allow everybody to drive around it. So at the end of the game, Martin, you've got 8 of them just driving around in circles. It's brilliant.
What I like the most is when you go out, you change the skin and you leave it for someone to come and pick it up, and then you wait for them, and then you kill them.
Wait,
take all the loot.
Why haven't I been doing that? That's a great idea.
Great.
Damn it.
Yeah, my favorite thing is when I drive up and I see one at the side of the road and I get to get in and then immediately get bolted in the side of the head by some rat in the grass.
Some rat in the grass, yes, definitely Martin.
That's not me. That's not happening.
But you do bolt, so
I
it
do
could
bolt a
quite
lot,
easily be you.
But bolting from the grass is kind of, I would be far away. Usually I like being close because then you can grab all the loot real quick.
Riveting stuff. All right, let's move over to the standings now, as we do have ourselves just one more game here for today. We have Polish Power popping the competition here, Saga.
They have really proven themselves to not only be a top contender sometimes, but also be able to do it pretty consistently as well. Although, even though the amount of dubs that they have picked up is in excess, Win or Die still holds the crown for most consistent runner-up with 47 placement points, just slightly ahead of Polish Power with 45 with a couple of wins that they have picked up. But that is now 4 teams in the triple-digit club. And there is starting to be a little bit of a gap at the top, even above Northern Lights in 5th.
Yeah, the top is kind of crazy right now here, Avenger, of course, with, yes, you're some usual suspects like FaZe and Northern Lights still being up there. But as we say, with those teams that have come through Open Qualifier, they're showing that Europe has so much depth, and the makeup and the landscape of Europe is currently changing before our very eyes.
Yeah, for sure. And also, it's very close, Fellas, 5th, it's just 20 points that make up the middle pack.
Yes.
One good game, you can drop all the way into the top 6 quite easily. Quite impressive. Yeah, really interesting in terms of that. Once we're done with that, we're going to be halfway through. We can take a lot of stuff away from that. But Polish Power have been insane. Question mark. Right now, if they continue that, that's a guaranteed spot for PGC for them.
Yeah, I feel like question mark right now as well, Saga. It's like a good defense is a great offense. They're constantly putting pressure on against these teams and using that as their defensive nature.
And once again, comes from the way that they are finding these positions typically towards the western side, the southern side of the zones as well. And it just so worked out this time around that they had fantastic high ground positions that they were able to exploit. And they were actually pretty instrumental in the downward phase in that game as well. You saw they were lurking on the outside of the compound where Exalt was sat with shotguns. They didn't want to commit to the push, but question mark was there to deny them from backing away, so they had no choice.
All right, well, one more Miramar on the cards, and we will be heading over to the commentators now for the final one as well on the desert. So, Toby, not sure what to ask you again.
Bring me something, anything, go.
What did you have for dinner?
I had a lot of kebab. Turkish way of things, just a lot of. Well, I mean, I haven't really eaten anything. So much food.
Fantastic.
And a slice of pizza.
Riveting stuff as well. All right.
And that's my segue over to you. Slice of pizza, was it good?
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Great. Now back to the game. We have one more Miramar game left to play here, Hypog. And I gotta say, I love where we are right now, because we currently got Polish Power, question mark, fighting for the top. 2 teams that we've seen when at their best, they are phenomenal. But also 2 teams that we've seen play the bottom of that leaderboard for a scary long amount of time before they got their things going. Now they're up there. Now they get things going, but for how long can they maintain those 2 top spots?
Yeah, and then just to come back to what the desk were touching on, and question marks, they're playing a real thinking man's game right now. We're seeing them constantly in a position where they're able to actually influence fairly key moments of the entire match, right? Not necessarily getting themselves in aggressive positions, but they're constantly thinking their way into spots where they can actually do some real damage. I'm hoping actually it's going to be reflected eventually. Coming through with a decent, I don't know, double-digit sort of win, something like that. It's going to be scary actually if they can build upon that and actually then, satisfy both sides of the coin.
Yeah, I don't want to say that's what I'm waiting for, because how can anyone doubt a team who, when going into a lobby like this, can find their way into first place and not only do it off of a couple of pop-off games, but consistently find their way into the top? I almost feel kind of rude for doubting any of the two. It's only because we've so many times seen it not work out the way we wanted to. I've immediately think back to Polish Power. They had a big lead in one of the previous tournaments, which then crumbled later on. This time around, though, I really hope for them. I want to see it be the game where they hold on to it all the way through.
Yeah, and that's reflected as well statistically, question mark, where they are